Books are everything. Surround yourself with them. Take risks. Don't just read one. Don't wait until you finish one to start a second one. It doesn't matter if you don't finish them. Not every book in the world will work for you. You'll always get at least one idea. You will always meet at least one new person, one new friend from a book.
A series that did inspire me as a young girl were all the Anne books, and one in particular that I remember was when Anne won a scholarship to Queen's. And as I was reading that, and I thought, I really want to go to university. So it's amazing where the Anne books can actually take you.
An author has to pour so much into a book. We get, years and years of their knowledge, their life experience, all condensed in sort of bite-sized chunks.
So we're trying to add lots of new books all the time because, as well as recommending that people read the classics, we think it's important to recommend new books, books that everybody's talking about, books that you see advertised all around the place, because then people can use that as a bridge to reach the classics. And we point out the best of these new books that are worth reading.
It's so lovely to just get a book down and open it up and get some pearl of wisdom from some beautiful book that you might not have looked at for 10 years, or it might be a new book that you just haven't had a chance to read yet. And that is just so special.
Well, in my family we were encouraged to read from an early age, and it was something we'd go on holidays and we'd sit around the fire reading and sit out in the veranda reading. And I think it was, it just got us reading very well from an early age, but I think it helps your thinking and your clarity of thought and your vocabulary and all those sorts of things. So, and it was just very enjoyable.
Yes, I'm a coordinator of an infants campus, and as well as a teacher and a tutor. So I see the benefit of children reading because it takes them outside their little world and expands their horizons. So it's hugely important, as well as helping them to be more articulate and to be able to communicate well with other people, which is so important in later life as well.
When you read, it teaches you to look into someone else's life and to take a walk in someone else's shoes, so it develops your sense of empathy.
If it's a good character, you feel like you've made a new friend almost, because you side with them with little things and they do stupid things, but you still they're your friend and you want to support them.
In my friendships or people that I share, whether it's a mentoring role or whether it's just one of the girls we chat about books, or whether they're people who are not even book readers, but there's a book that I've read that they think, I've got such limited time, but that sounds like it's worth it. And so you give it to them and then you get the feedback, and that sort of adds to your whole friendship. So I think books are very enriching from that perspective.
We're confronting on an ongoing basis issues that are coming up in society. We're having to, as politicians or people in public life, try to bring good thinking to making decisions over what's in the interest of the common good. Much of what is our sort of collective wisdom comes from things which were written a very long time ago.
For me, the Tolkien books were like, first when I read The Hobbit, that was like, opened a whole new world of reading to me, and then I read The Lord of the Rings at a fairly early age and read it again, and the whole thing of that, striving against odds and heroic sacrifice and all those sorts of things just really appealed to me as a young kid, and just made me want to read more books of that sort.
In secondary school, I had another really amazing English teacher, and I think because of her passion for the subject matter, it really made the books kind of come to life. So I remember we read To Kill a Mockingbird, and I thought, oh, I wish I could be, as brave as Atticus Finch type of thing.
My favourite book is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I really love this book. It's on one level the story of a young man who has the good fortune to become a nobleman, but on another level it's about a young man who learns to become noble as a person.
In many of the books that I've got, I'm so happy to have read these books, because it has changed me as a father, and I'm able to correct myself.
And that's one of the greatest gifts that an adult can give to a child, is to give them a space, to give them time, to create those opportunities. And what happens at that moment is you're creating an experience but then it becomes a memory that is never lost.
For my children, to encourage them to read was The Ranger's Apprentice. It was just fantastic, and we'd start before they could read themselves. We would just each night before bed read to them, and you see their little eyes opening up and imagining what's happening in the book, and it's just so exciting. It opens a whole other world to them, but then that lands them into the world of reading as well.
Even recently I had divided up all my old children's books into 5 for the 5 kids, and I gave one to one of my other daughters, and we're going through it, and they said, oh, it's like reliving my childhood, and it just brings back so many wonderful memories that you have associated with these books that brought you so much pleasure.
There's the disappointment when they've finished reading the book of thinking we could never really find another book as good to read, but then the joy when you're able to give them another book that is just as good to read, which helped the child then in their transitioning into adult life.
This is our logo for Portico and the Good Reading Guide, and it's sitting inside an arch which is like a doorway, so like a portico is the entranceway to a building, and then we have the open pages of a book, and right in the centre of the book is the light. So this is like the moment when the sun is just shining through the trees and you get that twinkle where, you know, the light streams through. And this is like the light that comes from the books that we put on the Good Reading Guide, the ones that we recommend.
To be able to choose wisely, you also need to know yourself quite well. Because there are many good books, but not all goods are good for me. I think that it's good to have tools that help you choose. And I think that the Good Reading Guide is a really good help for that.
Head to the Need a Recommendation page through the main menu. Say I'm looking for a book for an 11-year-old girl who is an avid reader. Select a department, then as many subjects as you like. She likes contemporary stories, historical fiction, and romance. Then we'll select females and 11 years. You can further refine your recommendations by adding more criteria, something inspiring and relatively recent.
The reviews up on the Good Reading Guide aren't just telling you what the book's about, it's telling you why the book is worth reading and what's worthwhile about the novel. There's such a broad range of reviewers that work for the Good Reading Guide, so they review what they're genuinely interested in, so it really does make the review just that much better.
In particular, some of the content, I haven't been able to quite put my finger on what's wrong with it, and I've found that your reviews have really elucidated really what is not so great about this book and why, and I've found that really, really helpful and great to pass on to my kids and great for discussion to help them to grow, to be able to discern things better.
I think it's an excellent tool. I recommend it. I've recommended it to people to give it as birthday presents, as Christmas presents, or just to give it. And I think it's something that we've been waiting for a very long time. And I'm so grateful that we have it.